I'm so psyched to be here with Benson Tsai. Benson, thank you so much for joining us. I love your sizzle reel. I actually, full disclosure, I've been watching it around the house and showing it to my family.
Really?
Like, you got to see this. So I literally watch it for entertainment. So before we back up and talk about what led you to do this, I want a little more background on what we saw in the sizzle. Like, set up for us, what is the guest experience with Stellar Pizza?
Yeah, so we're a food truck right now, and students at colleges in Los Angeles can order ahead on their phones on our app. And as they're getting out of class or they're in their dorm rooms, they can order their pizzas online, and our machine will then their pizzas will get scheduled, and they can go and pick it up when their pizza is ready. Yeah.
So and the van, they'll know when the van is in the neighborhood.
That's
like,
right.
It doesn't come to them when they order.
In the app, you can see when the store is open, but we also broadcast the open hours at right now we're at USC campus.
Very cool. So one more full disclosure about me before we focus entirely on you. What you've done is, like, there's an inner child with me that, like, when I was a kid, there were a few years where pizza and the robot on Lost in Space were like the two most important things in my life. And so you have managed to combine them in like a really exciting way as far as I'm concerned. Let's back up. I want you to talk about your experience as a rocket scientist and other tech stuff you did before you came to this venture.
Yeah, so real quickly, I guess right out of graduate school, I got a degree in chemical engineering with a goal to work at General Mills to make food at scale, but I got distracted and I got distracted with Silicon Valley and started a electric vehicle company back in 2008. So I did that for a company called Motive Power Systems. I did that for a few years, ended up joining Lucid Motors very early on, helped build that company, and then spent 5 years working for Elon Musk at SpaceX, designing battery systems for the spaceship and the satellite.
So cool. But it does beg the question, like, what led you to the intersection of robotics and pizza?
Yeah. So additional background, my parents are immigrants from Taiwan, and when people in Taiwan greet each other, they don't ask, how are you doing? They actually ask, have you eaten yet? And so food is ingrained sort of in who I am. Being able to finally, I've done some cool things, did electric cars, did spaceships, but being able to finally kind of chase what I'm passionate about with the amazing engineers that I have, as friends, as well as my friends who are venture capitalists and investors, and to be able to channel that into something I really, really care about was the genesis of Stellar Pizza.
And why pizza in particular? Did you target that as like?
Yeah, initially, given that my parents are from Taiwan, I wanted to build a boba vending machine at first. But when I realized the largest boba market in the world was actually in the United States, I was like, this is probably a small market. And looked at pizza, and pizza was the only American food allowed in my Asian household growing up. So I love pizza. It was like it symbolized joy and happiness and America to me.
Very cool. So, our audience, we have an audience of restaurant operators, restaurant technologists, and some solution providers.
Yeah.
And so this is an audience that really is going to love what your process was, what your journey was from conception. You had the idea to actual execution.
Yeah. So when working at SpaceX, I guess a lot of the philosophy was to do everything in-house if you could. That's one of the main reasons they were able to lower launch costs, launch services costs, so, you know, to a third the price anyone else was charging. And a big reason for that was the entire, like the fully vertically integrated company that they built. So we took that philosophy, combined it with the SpaceX, the other SpaceX philosophies, which was to fail fast and fail quickly, but not fail catastrophically. Despite the fact that we crashed some of our rockets into boats and blew them up, we learned a lot from those things. And with Stellar Pizza, I was able to recruit a team of 30 ex-SpaceX employees to come and help build the robotics in a very, very, like, let's just get it working, let's see what we can break as many things as possible, and iterate on a design that took, you know, with COVID, it took about 3 years to complete.
Mm-hmm. Did you talk them into leaving SpaceX, or had they left or made that decision already? I'm just curious, because that's quite a leap.
Yeah, the initial crew had all spent maybe 6 to 8 years at SpaceX. Even our head chef at Stellar Pizza is from SpaceX. He ran culinary services for 10 years at SpaceX. And so we had this really tight-knit crew of rocket scientists and food lovers, and it was really more about trying to solve problems here on Earth versus trying to get off this planet.
Right. And they must have had a certain amount of trust in you from working with you to follow you on this venture. You talked about, you know, building it yourself. Like, I'm curious where you got the parts. Like, because what we see in the video is extraordinarily slick. And like, where were these parts manufactured?
Yeah, we designed all the parts in-house. A lot of the early years, or the early first year, was really 3D printing every single mechanism and seeing if the geometries fit. Then we would farm out the parts to local manufacturers, to China, and figure out where the metal parts could, you know, it would be our parts that were designed, but they'd be manufactured elsewhere, and then we'd assemble everything. So I like to joke that while our pizzas are not artisanally crafted, our robots are artisanally crafted.
Right. That's very, very cool. Yeah, there's a do-it-yourself quality to this. I'm picturing you guys going to Home Depot to pick up some parts.
Yeah, and some of the early rockets that flew at SpaceX were Home Depot equivalent parts that we were just like, let's get it up there.
This is not, I should have made a generic reference to a hardware store. Rather, this is not an ad for Home Depot, but that does seem amazing to me. We're always curious, because everybody in this room has experienced, you talked about failing fast, learning from failure. The road from conception to what we saw in the video was not smooth. I'd love to hear, and I know everybody else would, like what was hard, and also what did you not expect to be hard?
Yeah, well, I've developed this sort of new found respect for restaurateurs and people, and entrepreneurs really in general, but restaurateurs, they work so hard, and it's such a difficult challenge. I now tell people, like, there's the common saying, everybody says, oh, it's not rocket science. I actually think building a restaurant is harder than rocket science, because there are laws of physics in science and engineering, whereas when you're building a restaurant, customers don't always behave the way you want them to. Mm-hmm. And it's been a long, long journey. So 3 years now of iterating, testing to failure, dealing with dough, which is this living, breathing creature. That's been a difficult challenge, because it's so sticky. If you get the hydration, off, it's just been a great learning experience to understand how to build equipment that can handle food. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think the certification for a food robot is much simpler than NASA certification.
Right. Yeah, there's fewer safety concerns, I suppose. That quote, rocket science is actually easier than restaurant technology, is going to appear in hospitalitytech.com probably tomorrow morning.
It's very true. And the journey of building a company where you have to manage supply chain, you have to manage employees, you have to grow and serve people food that you know has a timer on it. It's just it's just in time manufacturing of food, and it's such a difficult problem to solve.
Yeah. Now you mentioned iterations and you mentioned pizza dough, and I'm an Italian kid from the Bronx. I had my share of trying to make pizza dough like Louie and Ernie's, like down the street, and failing miserably. So like, there are a few examples of like dough screw-ups that would be informative and maybe even entertaining.
Yeah, I guess with dough, honestly, I remember, so a part of my job at SpaceX was actually to blow up batteries, light them on fire, to figure out how to design them so they wouldn't blow up. So we did the same things with our custom designed ovens, where we would put pizzas in them, light them on fire, see if our fire safety mechanisms would work. And that was sort of, sorry to dodge, like we didn't really have anything crazy on the dough side, but
right. No, but you burned the pizza on purpose.
Yeah, we burned pizzas on purpose to really understand how to make sure that this vehicle, this whole system, was as safe and as reliable as any other equipment out there.
Yeah, I'm just noting, this is bringing the day full circle. We had a keynote earlier today, Obi Felton, who was talking about fall in love with the problem. I would say purposely burning the pizza to see how your fire safety system works is an example of loving the problem. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about toppings? I mean, like, you know, do you freeze toppings? Do you just refrigerate them? And then how does the robot deal with that? I mean, just like you know, even for the best pizzerias, the whole topping situation is one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, so with the automation, with our system, we actually can store 10 different toppings. And when we set out to decide what to serve, for me, it was fun to learn that most pizzas sold are either cheese or pepperoni. And so we just make sure that our vehicle, which stores 420 pizzas, can make 420 cheese or pepperoni pizzas. The toppings have been a fun little adventure. What's not shown in the video is they actually get loaded in these metal cartridges that look almost like missiles into the truck. And you plug them in, and they can dispense the pre-sliced onions or bell peppers or olive sausage onto the pizza. Each of these toppings has a different size or shape or stickiness, and there have been fun little challenges, especially with mushroom, where it's sort of this kind of gooey liquid when it's or gooey and sticky material. And we've had a lot of challenges. We've tried all the things. We sort of look at the problem statement of getting mushrooms onto a pizza, and then we map out all of the potential ways in which we can get that mushroom onto a pizza. And we try probably 10, 15 different variations of different dispense mechanisms. We look on YouTube to figure out what other people do. It's really, for us as a company, one of our values is to never stop learning. And we're always trying to fail so that we can learn.
I love it. And mushrooms, it's interesting, notoriously difficult to keep them for very long and to keep them fresh. Yeah, very, very interesting. I'm thinking about Los Angeles and the mobile unit. How do you decide? It sounds like college, like college areas, people with some disposable income and inclined to order food is
that's right.
a prime target for you?
College students have sort of crazy eating schedules, so that it's really nice to not have a peak at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Our peak sales periods are actually between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., and we're able to just kind of meet the demand that's there in the evenings, which is really great. But it also opens us up for operating as a catering service at lunch. So we can do sort of this multimodal approach to running a restaurant, because we only need one or maybe two people to serve hundreds of people with our truck.
And when I first learned about you, there was one mobile unit. Now there are two?
Yeah, that's correct.
Very cool. And do you have plans to move beyond Los Angeles? I mean, Los Angeles is plenty big.
Yeah.
I get that. But like, do you know, as you look toward the future, what
yeah. So the far future, well, the crazy sci-fi, you know, SpaceX kind of future for Stellar Pizza is actually, you know, self-driving mobile food making facilities that have drones flying off the top of it and delivering pizzas to people's backyards. That's like the cool version of the future. The reality, or the near-term 5-year vision, is to have Sprinter van-sized versions of our truck moving and cooking and delivering pizzas to people's households in a way that really focuses on, you know, affordability and convenience for the end customer.
And that user experience wouldn't be dependent on like, well, the unit is in your neighborhood, like what you described with campuses.
Yeah.
It would be more like, I feel like a stellar pizza tonight.
We serve a certain area, and with that format of our business, it's likely roaming around office parks where people are during the day, and then migrating with them down into their neighborhoods in the evenings to serve their kids, their families pizza. And then once, you know, that service is done, then we run to bars at 2 a.m. when they're closing and everyone's trying to Uber home.
Nice, nice. And weed dispensaries would possibly be a prime target.
Yeah.
I'm thinking now, I know they're not autonomous vehicles, but how many people are required to be with the vehicle?
Functionally, just one. We have 2 right now because a lot of customers want to understand, or they want to watch the machine make the pizza. And at the end of the day, I think we're probably going to stick with 2. There's like bathroom breaks and such that are needed. So 2 people right now.
And the video really, it felt like there was still a human touch there. That you're not.
Yes.
I mean, I know pizza is transactional, sort of by its nature, but still like a smiling face.
Yeah. I think it's really, you know, we're allocating labor to the places where those people, the labor can excel, right? And repetitive actions are not the most exciting things to be doing for a job.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about how, you know, when we leave the stage, the Startup Alley competition, the 3 finalists will be up here, and they are they're tech startups serving the restaurant industry. You are literally a restaurant startup, but with an extreme tech twist.
That's right.
And so you didn't expect this question, but I think you have an answer.
Sure.
Just sort of advice for like startups in general. I mean, we love your attitude. You've got like, it feels like nothing can stop you when you put your mind to things. And so do you have advice? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like every restaurant is a startup. You're struggling. You're trying to find your product market fit. So in terms of advice for startups, it's really advice for all restaurateurs and people launching a new location that's basically a small little startup. But I think the advice that I have is just not. We've built our business in a way that is. We can, like, if college campuses didn't work out, it's actually going pretty great right now. But if college campuses didn't work out, we'd be able to. We have a very agile kind of business where we can just pack up our things and try to go. And so trying to stay agile while testing new things is our philosophy. For startups trying to make it in this world, it's tough. It's you gotta just make sure you stay level-headed and not lose yourself in the business.
Cool. So I know I told you I would like to sort of picture like a little beyond where you're at now.
Yeah.
You described like maybe more mobile units, maybe be able to deliver, but like without disclosing like the like your entire game plan.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, do you have a dream for Stellar Pizza?
Yeah, well,
to keep expanding.
Sure. The fundamental dream or the mission of our company, in the same way Elon had the dream to get to Mars, our dream is really affordable access to convenient and high quality food. And I think robotics, it's going to allow us to serve food to underserved communities, especially in a mobile form factor. We can solve the food problem in food deserts. I'm excited to be able to take the know-how that we have and start building technology for other food categories, other restaurants even. My mission, personal mission, is to spread joy and happiness in the world, and people need affordable food. The cost of living is getting crazy right now. And so with technology that we develop, I think it would be really, really exciting to have people be able to survive without stressing too much about money on this planet.
Very cool. This has been so inspiring. I'm mindful that we're eager to transition to
Sure.
Startup Alley. So I think we're going to thank Benson Tsai and then bring the competition to the stage. Benson, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. And please, round of applause for Benson Tsai.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.